Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here, Oilers Live, with Thursday edition of Oilers Live, 9 p.m. Mountain on Edmonton Sports Talk. Well, 9 p.m., 9:10 if you're in, I don't know, Barhead, I guess. Yeah, we're here with Oilers Live tonight for Thursday because there was a Wednesday game time. Of course, nobody wanted to watch us over Oilers game, so we're going to do this one a day late. I've got as my co-hosts, I guess now, Patrick, the Oilers Fanatic, who you all know well, and Mr. Ryan Lotsberg, senior writer for the Heavy Hockey Network. We have also got, if he's able to join, we've got Eric Friesen, senior editor for Heavy Hockey Network, going to join as well. Already in the crowd, we've got some stranger, which never gets old, by the way, in the chat, and Name Cardinal. Name is the collector of the Indigenous rookie cards, who I also, guys, had a chance to talk to today. Hell of a guy, and just an all-around good guy. So we've got a couple of folks already in the chat. If you want to get on the chat, go to youtube.ca/heavyhockey. Of course, you can chat through Twitter as well. We can see that and interact and answer your questions as they come up. We're going to talk a little bit of Oilers hockey. Oilers coming off. I mean, is it a big win at this right now? It's a big win. I think
I'd say it's a pretty big win.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah. So Oilers coming off a big win last night against the surging St. Louis Blues, although they just came off of their first loss in 13 games. They had a 12-game win streak, and then they lost to the Jets. So, big night for the Oilers. Big return for number 97. I like to start each show with a little bit of a Heavy Hockey Oilers Fanatic rundown, if you will. What's the news of the day there, Patrick?
Well, the Oilers have recalled defenseman Cam Dineen from the Bakersfield Condors on an emergency basis. We found out, along with the Connor McDavid news yesterday, that Jake Wallman was injured. Apparently, it's a minor injury, just day-to-day, as the Edmonton Oilers always seem to say. Yeah. So that's why we saw Cam Dineen called up. So the Oilers they had to play last game with just 5 defensemen. So with Cam Dineen called up, they'll actually have 6 ready to go. Olivier Rodrigue was sent back to Bakersfield. So we can safely say that Stuart Skinner is ready to go for next game against San Jose. Whether or not he gets the start, we'll have to wait and see. He might just be backing up. But I was talking about in the rundown tonight, if you're playing the San Jose Sharks, that may be the best team to break Stuart Skinner back in against, not giving him a super hard challenge. Well, I say that the Sharks come out flying on Friday, but presumably not a super hard challenge against the San Jose Sharks. So we might see Stuart Skinner get the start in that one. Jake Wallman, as I already mentioned there, day-to-day. And just before the game last night, John Klingberg placed on long-term injured reserve. The Oilers ended up having to do that to have enough cap space to play Noah Philp. So that is basically the latest there, guys. Stuart Skinner back on Friday, and Olivier Rodrigue back to Bakersfield.
Friday being tomorrow. Stuart Skinner back tomorrow. All right, welcome, Eric. Let's do a quick mic check now that we got you in there. All right, awesome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yep.
So
okay, perfect.
Eric Friesen hasn't been on the show in some time.
Yeah.
senior editor of the Heavy Hockey Network, also host of 99 Forever podcast, which you can find on the Heavy Hockey channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Sometimes I put this one up on there as well. Not,
Yeah.
not very often. Once in a while. Yeah, when it's exceptionally good. So
Yeah.
rarely. Rarely. Yeah. Welcome, Eric. I know,
Yeah.
we, of course, I hate to bring it down a pitch, but we had some somber news last week that we
Yeah.
all kind of took a turn for, and I know Eric wanted to, as everybody knows that listens in, I'd say just a friend of Heavy Hockey, a friend of everyone, really, Bruce McCurdy. Eric had Bruce on his show 5, 6, 7 times. I don't know how many times.
5 times.
5 times, yeah. So Eric had requested to join tonight, talk some Oilers hockey, but importantly, give his thoughts on Bruce McCurdy. And why don't we get to that? Because I think Bruce always takes priority, and then let's talk some Oilers hockey.
Right, and first of all, sorry for joining the conversation a little late here, guys. And I don't mean to take it down a notch by going down such a, like you said, a difficult topic to discuss. There's no real easy way to transition in or out of this subject. But obviously Bruce was someone who meant a lot to me, as I know he did to everyone in Oilers Twitter. And he was someone who contributed to our Heavy Hockey Network as well, both as a podcast guest and as a writer. He wrote a couple articles for us a couple years ago, and fantastic writer, one of my favorites. And I think my reaction was probably similar to most people in oil country when we got the news. I guess it would be a week ago from yesterday that Bruce had passed away. That tweet from Kevin McCurdy hit me like a ton of bricks. It was almost one that you had to read twice just to, am I seeing this? And all day it just, I don't know. I felt like I couldn't think about anything else. It was just on my mind. And then I needed a few days to process it. And I got hit with this wave of sadness, I believe on Sunday, when it all just started to sink in. And it's one of those losses that our fan base has probably felt several times in the last 5 years. I think to ones like Joey Moss or Colby Cave. These are ones that Ben Stelter, of course. These are ones that just everyone brought everyone together because he was one of those integral parts of our community. And even though Bruce wasn't affiliated directly with the Edmonton Oilers like some of the other people I mentioned, this is a guy who followed the team for 50 years, right from their inception in 1972 in the WHA. And probably one of the best storytellers I've ever met. And the fact that his stories were about something I'm so passionate about and something I know we're all passionate about, the Edmonton Oilers, it made those stories even better. 5 times on the podcast, one of my most regular guests that I've ever had. We would do about 1 episode a year. But the thing about those 5 episodes is every one we did was either 2, 2.5, or 3 hours. Like I believe I'd have to add it up, but it's something like 11.5 hours of recorded conversation that I have with Bruce over those 5 episodes. And one of the great things about them is that they're evergreen topics, because you can listen to it today or 5 years from now, and it's still going to be something that is relevant because it's a huge piece of Oilers history. And we were able to talk about specifically the Oilers' glory days during the 80s and early 90s. And it's an era that I was just born at the tail end of, so I didn't experience it. Of course, I've learned so much about it throughout my life, but Bruce just filled in the blanks with his information, unlike anyone ever. Low Tide often calls him the Oilers' unofficial historian. And I think that there's probably no title that is more accurate. He could remember details of games from 40 years ago as if they happened last night. Not just who scored and who got the assist, but the atmosphere in the building when those goals and wins were had by the Oilers. And as he was a huge Wayne Gretzky fan, he says that he saw him live 600 times in his career. I'm obviously a huge Wayne Gretzky fan too. I mean, the name of my podcast was named after, in honor of Wayne Gretzky. And when I first reached out to Bruce, I said, I was a little nervous because he was probably one of my first big guests that I'd ever had. And I didn't know if he was going to even be willing to come on a show that was only about a year old at the time and hadn't really maybe established itself that much. But he agreed right away. And actually, when we were done, I thanked him again so much for being on the show. But one thing he said to me is that he really appreciated me asking him, because up until this point, he said, no one has ever asked me to talk about anything but the 21st century Oilers. And for the first time, he had an opportunity to speak about the 80s and 90s Oilers. And those are topics that, were something that's really meaningful to him. So I'm not going to take any great credit for it. I feel like I'm the lucky one that I got to sit there and listen to those episodes. And those are the ones that I could easily listen back to anytime. So I just wanted to say thanks, Michael, for giving me just a few minutes here to just speak about what he meant to me. And I know that he meant a lot to everyone in oil country. So, Bruce, I appreciate everything you did. I wish I could have told you that. I wish I could have told you that one more time. And I'm going to miss you a lot. And I'm very thankful that I had him on my show.
Great way to put it, Eric. When you're feeling the emotion, I think we've all kind of gone through over the past week or so. And I'm impressed you kept it together to say what you could say there, because you said some good things about Bruce, stuff that we all 100% agree with. I see Stahl in the chat is just finding out himself and having the same reaction. And, it's that was just the case last week. Of course, when we got on our show, we got to say our sort of words in tribute to Bruce. And look, the only thing I hope is, that never ends, right? Like, just like Bruce remembered every Oilers game for the past 40 years. I hope we remember every Bruce moment for the next 40, because people stay with you for as long as you can remember them. Yeah, but no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I know that I always loved listening to the episodes you and Bruce had, and of course he the articles he did do for Heavy Hockey were articles that brought the past to the present, which was at our request, because he was this tremendous historian of the game, specifically the Oilers game. So appreciate that. And like we did last week, we're going to talk some Oilers hockey, because I think that's probably one of the things that would honor him most. He loved the Oilers, and that was good. All right. Thanks for that, Eric.
Yeah, of course.
So we
Thank you.
talked a little bit of the Oilers news. Stuart Skinner's back, or expected to be back on Friday, right? And
we still don't know if he's backing up or starting, but he will dress.
Yeah. All right. Big news around the league. Speaking of people coming back, Gabriel Landeskog going to be suiting up for the Eagles, I believe, in the AHL. As a little bit of a refresher conditioning stint. How big is that? That's pretty big news.
Yeah,
it's huge.
I mean,
it's just an incredible accomplishment for him to come all the way back from the surgeries that he's had and going through the recovery you went through, and to even be at this point where he's even considering playing again right now is a testament to him. So that's fantastic to see.
Is there a player that, like, I mean, he obviously, like, he was heart and soul of that team, right? Like, a leader on the Avalanche team when they went all the way. I can't think of another player that has had that big of an impact on a team that's come back after this long of a, other than maybe Lemieux when he came back.
Yeah,
right?
So I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Zach
the one that comes
Koivu
to
is another
mind.
one that comes to mind.
Oh, Koivu. Yeah, good example. Yeah, good one.
I think that
Like-
you're closer, honestly, with Lemieux, not in terms of talent, but timeline, because Landeskog hasn't played since the 2022 Stanley Cup Final. Whereas, Lemieux retired in 97 and then returned just a few days after Christmas 2000. So he missed 3.5 years, and now we've got Landeskog, who's missed, closer to 2.5, but still, it's a lot of people never thought he'd play again. The fact that he's back on the ice now is a good sign for him.
Not to mention, I mean, for a hockey player, like, he's not a kid anymore. Like, he's in his 30s. It gets significantly harder to recover. So it'd be impressive to see if he makes it, if he can make an impact as a player, which I have no doubt, guys like that, like, they come back when they're ready, right? Like, they don't, I always figure a guy like Landeskog or a guy like Lemieux, if they won't contribute like close to what they did before, they probably just wouldn't show up. Right? Like, they would.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got that competitive kind of spirit that you want to be one of the best. You don't show up. So when does he play his first game in Colorado? This weekend, I think, right?
Well, I was reading Elliot Friedman today, or I saw a video from Elliot Friedman, a hit that he did. He was saying that people close to the situation have told him to not bother predicting exactly when he's going to play. It's one of those things that's pretty touch and go. I believe they're saying they have 5 games left. So it could be any time in the next week and a half. He might take a morning skate and then they might not play him that night. It's really just a situation to be monitored. But like I say, the fact that he's there on a conditioning stint, like, he's going to get into some games in short order.
Yeah. I mean, this is and maybe it's recency bias, but do any of you think, like, this is shaping up to be one of the more competitive Stanley Cup playoffs that we've seen in maybe even a decade? Like, the top teams are pretty phenomenal, right? And I mean, it's looking likely again that the Oilers are going to play LA, although that's not decided yet. But LA looks better than they did last year, right?
Mhm.
Colorado is better than they were last year. Dallas is better than they were last year. St. Louis, I mean,
Infinitely better.
yeah, infinitely better.
Yeah.
I mean, this is at least I'd say in both the East and West. I mean, this is no. I know we're Oilers fans here. We want the Oilers to win, but the Stanley Cup Finals or playoffs are never easy.
No.
And I contend. I think we all agree it's probably one of the hardest trophies to win in sports. But this is crazy this year. The amount of talent going into these playoffs.
I'm thankful that 3 of the best teams in the West, and I guess you could argue the 3 best teams in the West are all in the Central Division. So the Oilers only have to play one of Winnipeg, Dallas, or Colorado to get to the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, I mean, I guess after the first round, like, you eliminate 4 teams, right? Like, no matter what,
Yeah.
like those are 4 competitive teams that you won't have to play. But I don't know. Like, I don't think LA and Vegas are pushovers, though, right?
No, not at all. But I do think the Oilers can beat them.
Yeah. I think the Oilers could beat any team, frankly. And what we saw last night with the return of McDavid, and maybe this is a good time to get back into it. Let's just do it around the horn. I mean, did we get a little bit more of a glimpse of like the real McDavid last night? Because I feel like we haven't. I know it's weird to say that for a guy that's closing in on another 100-point season, but he just hasn't seemed like pure McDavid this year up until he seemed that way maybe a couple games before he left for how many games was he out? Eight games. I thought that he looked really good the last sort of 2-3 games before he got injured. And then I thought last night he looked again really good. Like that, when a guy looks that good, he puts the whole league on notice, I think. But let's start with Ryan. I mean, is this you think like McDavid's kind of back to being McDavid? Like from what we saw last night, did that give you an additional hope for this team?
I mean, anytime you see a player of McDavid's caliber returned in a lineup, of course, it makes you feel a little better about your lot in life. But there's signs of life from McDavid, but I'm not sensing that he's like fully back yet. Like I need a larger sample size of sustained production. Like if he can get to 100 points by the end of the year, then he might have me, right? But I'm just not quite there yet. Like last night, it was a great performance. I don't think it was a virtuoso 3-point performance. It was kind of a ho-hum 3-point performance, if that makes any sense, right? Not a lot of highlight reel plays, but he was effective all night. But very good, but not his dominant self yet.
All right, Patrick, we've heard from Realism Ryan there.
No kidding. You didn't waste any time, did you? Just you got to, Connor had a nice 3-point night. Oh, it's kind of ho-hum. Didn't do much of anything.
All right.
You have to be in on all 4 goals for you to say he did something.
I needed somebody, I needed guys spinning on the ice after having been deked out by McDavid.
Yeah, we had to get Ryan on there first so that we could like sway the balance. All right, Patrick, your thoughts.
Okay, now granted, it wasn't his greatest game or anything, but I think it was better than ho hum. I think he was pretty good. Like, and he missed a couple of great chances too. So like he could have easily had more than the 3 points he got. And I think his coming back was massive. I don't think they win that game last night if Connor doesn't come back, because not even just because he got the 3 points. I think just getting him back gave that team a huge spark. You saw there was a huge lift, and it was a team we hadn't seen for a while here, I think, last night. And I think and that was without Draisaitl, without Ekholm, still some really key guys. And they gave St. Louis all they could handle last night. And just going back a couple games to the LA Kings game, if McDavid had been in that one, I mean, the Kings were treating that game like they got sweet revenge on us by beating us 3-0. Like they barely beat us without all of our top guys in the lineup, and they were treating it like there was a huge statement game. If they're going to treat it like that in the first round of the playoffs, they better watch out. If they think beating us 3-0 when we're without our star players is a statement, then yikes. But anyway, yeah, I thought McDavid was excellent last night. To Ryan's point, it wasn't his greatest game, but better than ho-hum in my opinion.
Better than ho-hum. That's the bumper sticker right now.
Yeah.
We're making that into a t-shirt.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's the latest heavy hockey t-shirt.
Let's talk to, we'll talk to.
Along with the Embrace the Light.
Yeah.
Talk to the 780. They can do a 97 shirt better than ho-hum. Right. Yeah. Eric, welcome to the show. What's your thought? I mean, I know. So you like, and you're perfectly placed on the screen because, Patrick and I were pretty even keel. We're not too negative. We've got Realism Ryan over there in the bottom left. And then we got positive Eric over here on the right. Your thoughts on Ryan? Sorry,
well,
Look, Ryan, I give you a hard time, but I know you're a good fan.
Well, they won 4-0, but they missed on 2 breakaways. They should have won 6-0. So I can't really rate the game too high. 'Cause
I have high
I'm just bugging you,
expectations for the
Lotsie.
boys.
High
Yes.
expectations. That's it. Yeah.
We just like ripping you, Lotsie. It's all good.
All right, Eric, your thoughts.
I mean, the best player in the world gets 3 points. The Oilers win. Everyone goes home happy. It's pretty hard to criticize that too much. But, I mean, I think...
Not that hard.
No.
We'll find a
Hold
way.
my beer.
We will find a way.
Well, if you remember, there was rumors out as far back as 2 weeks ago that McDavid would be returning for the April 9th game against the Blues. So when I saw him skating on the California trip, I sort of thought, okay, well, he's going to get some practices in here. And from the video we saw, it looks pretty good. And that would be the plan, is that he'll be back on the Wednesday game against the Blues. However, it just, we got the word in the morning that he wasn't going to be playing. And then all of a sudden, somewhere around 5 p.m., they were saying, breaking news, McDavid is back tonight. And I mean, I just got hit with some optimism right there, just thinking, okay, Connor's back. This is going to give the team a boost. And let's just see what happens, even without some of the other key additions in the lineup, playing with 5 defensemen. This could still be what the Oilers need to get everything back on track here. And look what happens. Picks up 3 assists. I will say that, I mean, he missed a great chance where he deked out Binnington and just hit the post, so he could have scored there too. There was a nice spinorama move, that didn't translate to a point, but really got the crowd oohing and awing. And I mean, get out of the penalty box with 38 seconds left, pick up the puck in transition, skate down the ice, backhand pass in the slot to Connor Brown, who finishes it. I think that he looked pretty good. And even after the game, if you listen to some of the player media avails, Connor Brown said that McDavid at 75% is still better than all of us at 100%. So I think that kind of tells you right there, even if he isn't at, his peak ability at the moment, McDavid, just how he is able to still dominate out there. And the last thing I'll just say about the 100-point thing is that, he has to get 7 points in the final 4 games, with 2 of those games against San Jose. I mean, this is very doable for him, but I know he is having, I guess, by his own incredibly high standard, a down season, but that's only because he set the bar so high over the past 5-6 years. Yes, he might just barely crack 100, but let's not forget that he's not even going to play 70 games this season. So if you actually look at his points per 82 game pace, he would be on pace for 119 points this season in 82 games. So that kind of tells you, when a guy is on pace for 119 points and it feels like he's having a down year, it just shows you what we've been used to over the past handful of years.
Yeah, no, I agree. You talked about a couple of the goals, Eric, that, I've just classic McDavid, right? And then the almost goal that we know hit the post or whatever. I mean, that's McDavid. What I like to see is when he's really feeling it, he's driving at the defense.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this. If you watched the show before, I talked about how, I heard Sean Burke talk about the Calgary Flames when McDavid was in town. And he said there was a genuine fear in the dressing room, right? Pre-game. He said that he could sense the players were, they knew McDavid's in town. Yeah. And I've heard that about what's his name in Toronto that he burned.
Morgan Riley.
Riley, sorry, not O'Reilly. Riley.
Speaking of O'Reilly, Patrick's got the London Knights out on there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but Morgan Riley, I've heard I've heard him speak too, right? There's there's a genuine fear, and I always a part of me wonders if yesterday was all about that, right? Was no McDavid in the morning, and then all of a sudden McDavid, right? Just imagine, a picture that you're on the ice and the one guy that can make you feel like a fool in the NHL all of a sudden is about to get out there.
Well, the number one center went from Adam Henrique to Connor McDavid. Like,
Yeah.
that's a small upgrade there.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see McDavid for 8 games, and I said it in the group chat, but I forget how fast he is because he's just so noticeable out there. If he is 75 or 80%, or if he's playing a little ho-hum like Ryan says,
Only 119-point pace, like ho hum.
I know. And I get where you're coming from, Ryan. I know what you're saying, but if that's like him at that level, I mean, it's unreal the way he beats guys on the boards, like the little sort of moves he makes, like how he always seems to find the puck. Just getting these little like the little stick pass to Connor Brown out front, right? Like, it's just ridiculous what he does, and as competitive as the game is, and this is why I kind of led with this question, as competitive as the West is, after last night, and I think what we're going to see between now and the end of the season, the league and the analysts will change their mind again, because I think they've started to discount the Oilers for a little bit here. But we haven't seen this Oilers team for 10, 15 games. We haven't actually seen the team. In fact, we've only seen Frederick for 1 game. So we don't. And I thought he looked good in the shifts that he did have, right? Like, I think he's going to be a beneficial player. We're yet to see Evander Kane, although
that's what I was going to say.
Realism, Ryan.
Talking about ho-hum.
I mean, technically, just because of Evander Kane, we haven't seen a healthy roster at any point this season.
Yeah. No, we haven't. I mean, we have not. And, and it shouldn't come as any surprise. I mean, Florida's having the same problems, right? You've got a condensed schedule after you've gone Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Dash called it. I'll give credit where credit's due. Dash said we haven't dealt with injuries for a while. We're dealing with them right now. We're dealing with them this year. But I get the sense that none of these injuries are the type of injuries that keep a guy out of the playoffs.
No. I don't
They're probably
think so
injuries
either.
that linger throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
Ryan strikes again.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
I'm getting all excited here, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta put that guy on mute.
I mean, look at last year in the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, maybe this is just me being an Oilers fan here, but if Leon Draisaitl and Evander Kane are both 100% healthy, or even just somewhat healthy for that series, are we talking about the Oilers as their defending champs right now?
Yeah, I mean, possibly. It's hard to play, revisionist.
Well, I mean,
history,
he missed several games of that series. Kane did, and I mean, Leon was clearly not close to what he is. I mean, Draisaitl is one of the top playoff performers of all time, and for him to be as ineffective as he was in the biggest games of his life, we know that he was still dealing with something, and I think it was an injury that he sustained early in the Canucks series, and just kind of never fully got over that.
Okay, next question, because you bring up something. Is it? I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is stupid, but is it beneficial at all that these Oilers are taking this time off now, Eric?
It could be a blessing in disguise. I mean, like you already said, they played until late June last year, all the way to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, the latest game ever played in NHL history was last, I guess, almost into summer, like June 24th, 2024. And then to have such a short off season where 2.5 months later you're back at training camp, and then the condensed schedule because of the Four Nations face-off, which some of the Oilers' key players were at that event. I mean, particularly McDavid and Ekholm, but still, to go through all that, it's no surprising that maybe some injuries have started to catch up with them a little bit, and it's going to be a grind here now where they're going to be playing basically every other day for the next 2.5 months if they're going to go all the way back to the final again. So it's not going to get any easier, and this is probably some welcome time off because with the Oilers basically, I mean, unless the Kings drop a few games here, they probably can't improve their playoff position. So if the Oilers are basically locked into the third spot, then it makes sense to give Ekholm a few extra days off, give Draisaitl a few extra days off, get these guys ready so that when they are into the most important game of the year in game one of the playoffs against the Kings, that they're at least back into the sort of abilities that we know that they can be. I can't hear you, Michael. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're
can
muted,
hear
Michael.
you, but I'm on mute. So,
Okay.
and I said some pretty brilliant stuff just now, but I can't get it back, fortunately. It's a once in a lifetime thing.
And now you forgot your train of thought.
Yeah, no, I remember where I was going. I'm not that old.
No.
Patrick, thoughts on that? Is it a blessing in disguise?
I think it is because to a couple of Eric's points there, like they played till June last year, short summer. If they're going to go all the way again, it's going to be, like Eric said, every other night. So, I mean, you want to rest some guys a little bit at the end of the year anyway. And I was joking with a couple of buddies at work. I mean, they were asking, do you think they're going to sit McDavid and Draisaitl for the last couple of games? I'm like, well, they've already been sitting for the last 10 or whatever it has been. So they don't have to be sitting. They want to play the last couple probably to get ready to get going for the Stanley Cup playoffs here. So, yeah, I think it's a blessing in disguise. I mean, the Oilers have been treading water without them anyway. They've been able to stay afloat. I mean, they're not going to move up the standings, but they didn't plummet down the standings either. They're getting enough contributions from other guys that they're staying afloat. So, yeah, I think it's been a blessing getting the extra time off for them.
I guess one last thing I'll add to that before I forget. I wish I could give credit to who brought this point up, but they said it's essential for Stanley Cup winners in the salary cap era to win at least one of your playoff series in 4 or 5 games. Just to have that extra time, because do you remember how much time off there was between the first and second round for the Oilers last year? It was 1 week. They beat the Kings in 5 games, and they didn't start their next series until 7 days later. Now, are the Oilers going to dust the Kings in 5 games this year? It might be a tougher series than what they presented a year ago. So that's hard to say. But if the Oilers can wrap up one of their series quicker and get that extra time off during the playoff, that will benefit them a lot in the long run.
Fair. Yeah, fair statement. Ryan, I mean, your thoughts. I mean, we need some realism here. What's the deal? What's the deal, Ryan?
I can't disagree with anything that's been said already. Like it's a condensed schedule after having in the final.
But it's going to be that again next year too with the Olympics. The condensed schedule isn't going to go away either.
Yeah, for sure. It's something they're going to have to deal with. And yeah, having a little extra time off right now is definitely not a bad thing. It's as long as they are indeed healthy and they're not having some issue that's going to stay with them throughout the playoffs, which worries me with the types of injuries these guys are dealing with. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing for them to be getting a little extra rest right now, as long as the team isn't falling out of playoffs, out of the playoff race entirely, which they haven't clinched yet. So knock on wood.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of so. Ryan, I mean, you sort of touch on it. This is my thoughts on it, because I agree with everybody. Like, it is a bit of a blessing in disguise, but the nature of all of the injuries have been more or less day to day, right? And I know we joke like because day to day seems to be week to week for the most part, but I do kind of get this sense of like, all right, it's day to day, but we're not letting you come back in a lineup unless if you're 110%, right? Because we don't have to, right? Like, this was a condensed season. You played the game 7. We need you to rest. You played in the 4 Nations, whatever, right? Like, my sense of it is these injuries, as I said, like they're the kind of injuries that you plan the playoffs with, right?
Yeah.
But I also think they're the kind of injuries that you might plan the regular season with if the games were not that they're not meaningful, but maybe more meaningful, right? Like if you are fighting for the wild card or whichever. And the Oilers haven't they built themselves enough of a lead in the standings that I don't think it's realistic to suggest that Calgary is going to come back and steal that spot.
No.
The Oilers should. I'm not going to. I'm gonna. I don't want to put the put the hockey gods against them, but getting that extra point shouldn't be too difficult down the stretch.
Well, Knobloch did mention multiple times that if it was the playoffs with the injuries those guys had, a lot of them would have been in if it was the playoffs. So they were resting them when they could have gone.
Yeah, that's kind of my gut. Like it just says, like I feel like they're not as serious of injuries as they, would normally take this period of time. But why not give McDavid, a couple days extra? Why not give Draisaitl a couple of days? Draisaitl made his 50, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's I don't know. I think he's still pretty much in a commanding lead to win the Richard. Yeah. Right.
And they said that the injury to Draisaitl was not unrelated to his previous injury. The one that he most
we know what
recently
that injury was?
Yeah, no, we don't know.
Undisclosed. But I mean,
this is my concern about these injuries.
Honestly,
though.
for Draisaitl to come back, score his 50th goal of the season, to send the game to overtime, then break the NHL record for most overtime goals in a single season against the Calgary Flames on Hockey Night in Canada, I'm glad he came back for that. I'm glad that he has that moment. So I wouldn't want to take that away from him.
I feel like I saw him hit 50 against the Flames once before.
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
I know. I was there. I was there. It was
Michael,
also one of the worst nights in Oilers history.
Michael
one of
and
the
I
better
were
nights and one of the Oilers' worst nights, right? Yeah.
Michael and I were sitting right next to each other, and I think the entire row in front of us got kicked out somewhere during the first period for either fighting or starting to fight. So we basically had like no one sitting in front of us up in the nosebleeds at the Saddle Dome. And like you said, it started off a great night with almost 6 years to the day, that one to this one too. But like you said, a sour end to that night. And that's the only time I've ever been to a Battle of Alberta in enemy territory. And, I was hesitant to even wear any Oilers stuff in there because I'm like, I don't know what, is going to happen if the Oilers win or if some crazy drunk guy. Luckily, I had a 6'7" bodyguard with me, so I felt a little safer that night.
Yeah, no, good game. Other than we won't even talk about that. Yeah, good game nonetheless. All right, guys. I mean, we got we've covered Draisaitl. Nuge though is out sickness, right? Is he expected back already?
His was illness, so I'm sure he'll be back.
And that's the second one though for him, and not a very long period of time. I feel like he was out only a couple weeks ago, right, with illness as well. Am I wrong? Am I making that up?
I think at some point this year.
I mean, there was an illness going around the room around the Four Nations time, so maybe he had something around that time.
Yeah. Long story short, right? Like the Oilers, we haven't. It feels like a long time since we've seen the full Oilers squad.
Mm-hmm.
right? And when we did, it was the best team in the league, right? Or one of.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were number one, number two in winning percentage. You know, you just check Stauffer's tweets during that time. Right? Yeah. You want to talk
So-
about positive. That man right there. That man. He rivals you, Eric. for
Yeah.
positive. Yeah.
I'll have to DM him and ask if people tell him to stop being so positive sometimes too.
Michael Kerber in the chat says Nuge is 50-50 for tomorrow, according to Stauffer.
I think Wallman's day-to-day still too.
Yeah. So any idea what happened to Wallman? I don't remember seeing anything. Did anybody pinpoint it to a certain period of time?
It was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I thought they said he
just heard
tweaked something.
Yeah, I just heard it was a minor injury. That's all I got. So
Yeah.
They all are. They're all minor.
Wow.
yeah,
They're all minor. They're all day to day. They're all tweaks.
And they're mostly like core or groin issues. That's
Yeah.
like Ekholm's, I believe, is a core issue. McDavid there's whispers of it being a core or groin. That, of course, the team hasn't officially announced that yet, but there have been whispers. Spectre had that the other day. Draisaitl, again, they haven't said so, but just based on the way he went down and then stepped on the puck as he was doing some crossovers behind the net, like that screams some sort of groin, or they're all soft tissue injuries, right?
I mean, Draisaitl, they narrowed it down
they
to
don't
4
go away.
different plays, didn't they?
Yeah,
that to me was
that.
that was the crazy thing for me, was when Draisaitl's out, they're like, well, it could have been this one. Could have been this one. Maybe this one. And you're looking at them, and I'm thinking to all of them, like, that's season ending for me. Any one of those.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Not
I went to the
Draisaitl,
driving
he's
range
just
tonight,
as
and I could
big.
barely move.
Yeah.
I couldn't even finish my bucket of balls, like, because my back was in so much
There
pain.
you go. Yeah.
But no,
When you step
they're
on
all
a puck,
injuries
you know
that
you're going down.
Yeah.
no, probably go down like that without the puck involved. But
Michael
No,
Kerber again in the chat says Staff thinks Wallman, Dry, and Ekholm will return against the Kings. Talking about guys that I'm worried about, Ekholm probably is the one that worries me the most. You know, I mean, he's had moments where he's Ekholm, like just stalwart D-man this year, but then he's had like some stretches where you could tell something's ailing him. And then all of a sudden he's out, right? Like that one just concerns me the most out of everything, because we need good D going into the playoffs, obviously.
no, and you're trusting him to be the anchor on that top pairing with Bouchard, right? And he hasn't been himself this season. And I actually recently did a piece on Ekholm and this injury. The beginning of last season, it goes back to all the way to then. They did the captain skates 2 weeks before camp, and then Ekholm missed most of training camp because of a groin injury, and he missed the season opener where the team got killed, and he was back for game 2. And I even quoted the video of the interview afterwards, saying it's not something that's you're going to snap your fingers one day and it's going to be 100%. It's something that is going to linger. And I'm of the opinion that it has lingered since then. I don't think he's been 100% since then. And then you talk about all the hockey he's played since the beginning of last season. I think he got 79 games last year, plus 25 more in the playoffs, plus however 60, 70 some odd games this year, plus 4 nations. Right? He's played a lot of hockey in a short amount of time with this injury. So like I'm very concerned that it's turned into something more serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Patrick, you've been quiet there. What are your thoughts on Ekholm?
Well, I basically just share really agree with Ryan there. I mean, we don't know for sure, but he is the Oilers' best defenseman, probably most important defenseman, and especially coming up with the playoffs here. And we don't really know what we're getting. I mean, they say everybody's coming back for the playoffs, and like Michael said there, Ekholm probably returning against the Kings, but I guess we got to see him in some games and see, because he's had a decent amount of time off here, but nothing groundbreaking or anything, but he's been off for a while now, so maybe he comes back and he looks more like his old self. But it'll be interesting seeing these final few games, and maybe that kind of gives us a preview for what he's going to look like in the playoffs. But yeah, it's definitely concerning for sure.
Yeah, I've kind of got that. I got that thought. I mean, we need Ekholm, obviously, and you need good D. But I will say this, that last night was, I thought, great. Like, I thought, given the caliber of how St. Louis has been playing, I thought the D that were out there, I thought Nurse had a hell of a game last night. He was flying. He was all over the ice in a good way. Sometimes Nurse is all over the ice and it's not so good. Just sharing on the screen right now, Ryan's article. Is it more than maintenance for Ekholm? You can check that out at heavyhockey.com. And some stranger likes new graphics. Ooh, new graphics.
Ooh.
There we go. We're going high tech here. For those of you
hockey.
listening on edmontonsports.com, yeah, you can check us out. youtube.ca/heavy hockey. All right. Yeah, so we had that. Let's talk about the game last night. I mean, we talked about all those guys. Outside of the obvious ones, McDavid, right? His return. Connor Brown with 2 goals. Who saw that coming? Anyone?
Not this guy.
Bueller?
Not realism Ryan, that's for sure.
But he's got now 10 on the season. Quietly, I might add, too, right? Which is not terrible for like a guy that like hell of a penalty killer, right? But he's gone long stretches. I think the one that concerns me the most now is Janmark, not not so much Connor Brown. We could use Janmark to pot a couple. Out of let's say some stranger says not Connor Brown. No, not Connor Brown. Who was your not named McDavid? Who was your star last night? Start with Ryan.
Of course, you're going to start with me. Of course, I mean McDavid was far and away the best.
Yeah.
But Nurse and Kulak and those guys would get some consideration from me as well for shutting that down back there. That top line with Brown and Skinner and McDavid, I thought was decent. Aside from Skinner's little meltdown in the first period there, like he stood in there and took some shots. Like he withstood the physical play fairly well. Still had some dangerous chances. So yeah, but I don't have one guy in particular. But a few candidates there.
You should run for office. He's got like the no answer. All right. The whole team gets a star. Everybody gets a ribbon.
Participation ribbon.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Rediscovery Record says Nurse was. Eric, your thoughts. Who was your star not named Connor McDavid? You're on mute. They all
Am I
were.
back?
You're back.
Okay,
There we
good.
go.
Yeah. So I mean, Connor Brown's an easy one just because he had 2 goals. You got the Connor to Connor connection, the 2 former Erie Otters linking up again as they did 12 years ago when they were tearing up the OHL. They actually lost to the London Knights tonight. Just to go back to Patrick's hat again there. Another 2 assists for Sam O'Reilly now, who's up to 9 points in 5 games in the playoffs. But I'll just say I think my pick will be Vasily Podkolzin. I think he stepped up, scored a goal, had 4 hits, was fairly noticeable in that game, and just physically engaged too. So he's not a guy that's going to produce a ton of offense, and he'll never live up to that 10th overall billing that he was back in 2019. But I like that he signed for another year, and the cap hit isn't overly high too. So if you kind of know what you're going to get from him, and maybe he's even a little more comfortable next year after playing 1 year in Edmonton. So could this be a guy that gets up to 12, 15 goals a year? I think that's a reasonable expectation. Maybe closer to 12 than 15, but still someone who gives you a good combination of size, physicality, can skate, but also maybe chip in a little more often than he did this year. But other than that, I'll just, like I said, go back to Connor Brown, who for $1 million a year to have 11 goals at this point and be a penalty killer, I think he's been effective too. I'd bring him back again next year on the same contract if he wanted to come back.
All right. Patrick, thoughts? I mean, you get the enviable. No, you know what? Let me give my thoughts. Then you get the enviable position of being the last person to talk on it. This way, you can say, you guys are, you were all kind of, sort of right, but here's the real answer.
But really, I'm right. Yeah.
But really, I'm right.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it, and you know what I love? Like, I'm just looking at the chat. Everybody's got somebody, right? And maybe I'll let Ryan off the hook. Like, that's a good game, right? I mean, obviously Connor McDavid, anytime he's on the ice, is going to be one of the best guys out there. Bless you. But if I had to pick a guy, the one guy that hasn't been talked about is Skinner. I thought Skinner had a great game last night. Maybe not star worthy, but I thought he had a good game.
He was on my list.
Yeah, he was on your list. Sorry, he was.
He got screwed over.
Let's give Ryan
that game.
Let's give Ryan some credit. I really like Nurse. I like Darnell Nurse. I talked about him in the game chat. I love the way he played last night. I like the way he looked on the power play. In fact, I wouldn't even hesitate to give him a couple reps on the power play when Draisaitl's back and the power play's back, if there's any regular season games left. Because Bouchard, maybe needs to watch a couple games from there and just kind of, Nurse had a bit more of a movement mentality. Like he was moving around the ice. He was getting things done on the power play. Looked good. Anyway, Nurse would be my guy. Patrick, tell us what it's all about. Your thoughts.
Well, I'm going to agree with Michael Kerber in the chat there on Calvin Pickard. He was excellent once again, making some key saves. Stopped, who was it? Nathan Walker there just at the end of the game before Connor Brown got that winner with 21 seconds left. So he's just been, I think, maybe aside from Leon Draisaitl, the Oilers MVP here, just with how he stepped up in Stuart Skinner's absence. And he's probably going to finish at this rate. Well, we'll see if he has more wins than Stuart Skinner on the season. I think we were talking about that on the last pod. But, he's just been outstanding, and I don't think they win last night's game if it wasn't for Calvin Pickard as well. So he's my guy, but did want to mention that it was Jack Michaels that posted this, but Brett Kulak, a career high 29 minutes and 4 seconds last night. So Brett Kulak, the most minutes of his career last night, and he played a hell of a game. Those 5 defensemen were extremely impressive last night.
Yeah, I mean, you could just give the start of the defense, right?
Yeah.
Like, they stepped up, man short. No Ekholm in the lineup. And a key guy in Wallman. I mean, that's not a slouch to take out of the lineup, right? You had two of your top D men out, right? In Ekholm and yeah. So no, that was great. I'm actually Kulak's played great. I think
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't even seen playoff Kulak yet.
Yeah. I think this has been Kulak's best year as an Oiler this year.
Yeah.
And he steps up in these moments when the team really needs him to. Like, he's probably on a Stanley Cup contender, a solid third pairing guy, but in pinch hit duty, he can slide in and be a second pairing, or even last night be a top pairing guy when you need him to.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I think it's easy to get on this train of being positive, and we need, like, when the Oilers come off a win like this. But they've had a stretch where it hasn't been great. We know that they're missing players, obviously, key players. What is it? What worries you guys the most about this team? I mean, this exposed some areas of the Oilers, I thought, right? Like, it was kind of, I think, it was an opportunity for guys to really shine. I thought this last stretch, right? Without McDavid, without Draisaitl, it's kind of like somebody take the reins. I don't know who it was that did. Like, if there was any player specifically, maybe Skinner's the one that won the most out of all of this because he got more playing time and he looked good. He started to look more comfortable. I think Knobloch got a little bit more belief in him.
They didn't have enough players to bench him. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true, right? But I think if Knobloch wasn't a fan before, he should be now. Although he threw him back down to third line as soon as guys got back in the lineup. So
could that be just to balance out the lines a little bit too? I mean, I'm just looking at the more positive way there again too. Yeah. But realistically, if they have to try and divvy up the talent a little bit because you're already so depleted, you could look at it as they're trying to make Jeff Skinner a driver on that third line. So,
okay, well, let's not get off track though. Like, what's the area that this exposed? Like, this has not been. I mean, we've had 10, 15 games of not great Oilers hockey, right? Like, this has been. There have been some stretches. We're sitting here tonight because we just witnessed McDavid with a 3-point night, and the Oilers come out on a win. So we're feeling good. What's the area these guys have been exposed over the last 10, 15 games? Maybe start with Ryan, because I feel like, Ryan, this is this is an area. I mean, you do the numbers, you look at the analytics. I mean, what's the spot this Oilers team really needs to improve on if they're going to do anything in the playoffs? What have you seen?
And the thing that scares me the absolute most is the lack of depth scoring. And it's been the age-old problem with these Oilers in this Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl era, right? It's such a heavy reliance on those two guys for the offense. And we've seen, like, how many times have they gotten more than 3 goals in the game when Connor and Leon have been out? Hadn't happened that many times. All right. They're playing well enough defensively to win. Their goaltending is like just good enough in most cases to get it done. But it's just the depth scoring. We're looking for guys to step up, and they haven't. Right? Like, Pot Colson's been playing in your top 6 most of the year. He's got 8 goals. Connor Brown just got his 10th and 11th goals, or is it 10 now? Right?
11.
So, 11. Like, Corey Perry's playing 4th line minutes most nights, and he's like 3rd, 4th on the team in goal scoring, right? It's things like that, like the middle 6 more specifically, is what concerns me the most. I think the defense, especially with the addition of Wallman, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's fairly solid, actually, and I like Troy Stetcher in there as the number 6 guy now. Emerson has fallen off a little bit, and I've always thought Stetcher was underrated. Like, I think he moves the puck really well. I think he skates well. He doesn't get enough credit for doing what he can physically, given his size. So I think the D is fine, and our goaltending got us to Game 7 last year.
Yeah,
argue me all you want, right? We've seen them do the job well enough to get that far. So we're going to need more contributions from everybody up front, though.
I mean, I'll just say sometimes I know you give Ryan jokingly a hard time of being a realist, but he has been very positive on the conversations I've had with him on my show. I mean, even going back to training camp, we did a preseason podcast, and Ryan, I think you believed that Stuart Skinner could trend toward being a top 10 to 15 goalie in the league. Now, obviously, the numbers aren't there this year, but still, like you said, say what you will about Skinner, say what you will about Bouchard. those two guys have gotten it done at the most important time of the year. And
But
I
Eric,
don't want yeah.
don't get off track here. What's the area they've been exposed?
We're asking you to be negative. I know that's
Yeah,
hard.
I'm
like
just trying
what
to have Ryan's back a little bit.
yeah, no. I mean,
I appreciate
We're
you.
where
asking
Ryan
from
shines.
Ryan right now.
This is where Ryan shines here. This
Yeah,
is like
exactly.
this is his segment. We call
Unleash
this
the Ryan.
I only got to say one thing that concerned me.
This is
Yeah.
we call this segment the Lotsburg.
There you go. I mean, if we're talking about things that concern you, I guess maybe depth scoring a little bit. Although I will say, when McDavid and Draisaitl were up, there were some gutsy, full team efforts that they were able to pull out and win a couple games without those guys. So, you know, knock on wood, they won't have to go into a playoff series missing either of two of the best players in the league, as well as the two best playoff performers of their generation. But I think that is a bit of an issue. Like we talked about Corey Perry being so high up in terms of goal scoring on the team. Jeff Skinner has now tied him with a goal in Anaheim the other night with 16. But yeah, you want to see the lower the lineup contribute more. And it's great that guys like Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner are getting going. These were the Oilers' two big free agent acquisitions that you hoped that were going to come in and be 25 to 30 goal guys. It hasn't gotten there. But now in the last month, we're starting to see, after a very long time of waiting, them get to closer to the level that we thought they were going to be at. And hopefully that'll continue going to the playoffs. But yeah, if the bottom six could chip in one goal between those two lines every game or two, if you could count on that, that would take a lot of load off the shoulders of the big guys on this team.
Yeah. Patrick, anything different from you on this?
I kind of want to come at it from a different angle. Like, they've still struggled to score, to Ryan's point, but I think we've seen guys with Connor and Leon out get a chance to shine at points, and I'm worried with the way Chris Knobloch was going there for a while, or well, I guess most of this season, that once McDavid and Draisaitl come back, it might turn into the McDavid and Draisaitl show again, where guys aren't getting as much opportunity. If the Oilers are falling behind in a game, he's going to play them a lot. And I think some of these guys can shine, but they need to be given that opportunity. So I think this was a bit of a showcase for some of them to kind of break in. Like we talk about Skinner a lot, and Victor Arvidsson has stepped up here. We've seen the best out of Nuge lately before he got sick there. And I am concerned about the goaltending to an extent. I mean, I certainly don't want to see Stuart Skinner go anywhere like everybody else, but well, most people at heavy hockey anyway. I shouldn't say everybody else, but I am concerned with how he's playing right now. And I think I hope they don't give him back the net too much. I mean, Calvin Pickard has certainly stepped up, and I would lean more on Calvin Pickard right now until Skinner really shows you that he's ready to run with it here. So the goaltending concerns me a bit. The depth, of course, is there, and I just hope the depth is that the Oilers do have is given an opportunity here once everybody is back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, to touch on your point too. I mean, yeah, in professional sports, you can't worry about hurt feelings. You do have to put in who you feel is going to give you the best chance to win that night. That being said, after taking the team to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final last year, does Skinner not, if he's healthy, at least deserve to start Game 1 against the Kings, regardless of how he's playing going into the playoffs? I feel like he's earned the net for at least that one start. Now, the leash might be a lot shorter than it's been in past years. Like, if he really stumbles out of the gate and they lose Game 1, and then you're thinking, okay, well, you know, we'd love to split on the road here. We don't want to go back to Edmonton down 2-0. Just give us the better chance at that point. Then you could decide that. But, you know, I'm still a Stuart Skinner believer, and I think that this is a guy that you at least owe the chance to play Game 1 and see what he can do. Because do not forget, he played arguably the two best games of his playoff career in that building last year, where, including the final game where he earned a 1-0 shutout, which I think was arguably his best game that he's played in the NHL, period.
You know what? I 100% disagree with you. Like I just don't. I think that if we go into the playoffs and there is any doubt about Stuart Skinner, seeing the way Calvin Pickard has upped his game, and thankfully Skinner's going to be back on the weekend. But if there is any doubt whatsoever, and we end up playing LA, I just think it's a fool's game to play. To put Skinner in net because there's doubt seeps into the room, right? Like if that first goal goes in and you put Skinner in, there's a here we go again.
Yeah,
and this is it's nobody's net. This is a new season now,
and that's
right?
why I led off with saying
Skinner's not been great. Picard has shown that he's capable, and I think I don't know who we were talking about it last week, but we didn't. Who was it thought that he might play like the 5 straight that he did play? I didn't think he would. Was that you, Ryan?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, you thought that they'd, and in hindsight, now that I look at it, I'm glad they did. And I think they might have done that because they want to see, can he take the load? Right? They might have also done it because they don't know where Skinner's at, right? And so they want to see, can he take the load of 5 games in a row? But look, I just, in no world do I, if there's any doubt. Now, if Skinner comes back, he's supposed to be back on Saturday. Let's assume he gets put in right away. Assuming if he's capable of dressing, I think he's in the net. Would be my guess. If they put him in net right away, we see how he plays. Play him a couple games. See if you feel confident with him in net. If there's any doubt,
there's also a huge swing though. Let's not forget. The Oilers are going to play the worst team in the league on Friday night, and they're going to play the best team in the league on Sunday night. So you're going from 32nd to first. That's a pretty major swing in terms of talent.
Yeah, I just think you can't have any doubt. The way the team plays up front so often has to do with how they feel about the guy in the net.
Okay, but right? to my point then, if let's say he shuts out the Sharks tomorrow night, which is also the team that he earned his first shutout against 3 years ago. If that happens and then he gets lit up by the Jets on Sunday night, how much can you really take out of that?
That's a good question. I mean, I personally, if he gets lit up by anybody, Sharks or Jets, I put Pickard in for one more game, and if he wins that, wins one of those 2 last games, then he starts for me. That's my feeling. If Skinner gets lit up at all between now and the end of the season, then Pickard gets the net, assuming he also continues, because he's been solid. He's looked good. He's moving well. He's doing what we haven't seen an Oilers goaltender do in a long time, which is scramble. Right.
Well, he's a smaller guy too, right?
Yeah.
And it's to have a guy like that who's been an organizational number 3 goalie for the majority of his pro career and has played far more in the AHL than he has in the NHL, to come up in this situation where last year he steps in as the backup, and then now he's brought into actually having to be the starter because your default starter is injured. I think that he's done brilliantly, and that's why I said I led off with what I was saying before, Michael. There can't be hurt feelings in sports. You do have to give the best guy the opportunity, but I also believe that Stuart Skinner, because of what he did a year ago, at least has earned the chance to start game 1. And if he has a bad game against Winnipeg on Sunday, that doesn't really change my feelings about game 1 against the Sharks, or against the Kings, I should say.
I suspect you might be right, Eric. I don't doubt that Knobloch might agree with you. I just think it's
a Saskatchewan guy, right?
Yeah. I just wouldn't do it.
I mean, you're a Saskatchewan guy too.
I've spent some time there. Yeah. I drank the water. Patrick, your thoughts on that?
Well, if he shuts out the San Jose Sharks and gets lit up by the Winnipeg Jets, I'd read a lot into that. I mean, that's great if he shuts out the Sharks, but we're going to be playing teams like the Winnipeg Jets, not the San Jose Sharks. So if you're getting lit up by a really good team and you shut out a bad team, like, that's great, but that's not what we're trying to accomplish here. So, I mean, probably Eric, yeah, I could see Stuart Skinner getting game one, but I think a lot of it's going to be how he looks
Well,
for the rest of the way here. Like if he's looking like he's struggling to close out the year still, then I don't think he gets game one. But
there's
if he,
another.
sorry, go
No,
ahead.
sorry, no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, but if he's not giving them confidence, then I see Pickard starting game one. It's all going to really depend, I think, on how he closes out the year here.
Well, another interesting wrinkle to this is that the Oilers play the Kings at home the very next night after they play the Jets. So now, do you play Pickard Sunday against Winnipeg and save Skinner for the Monday night game against the Kings to see how that goes?
I'd play him against the Kings, yeah.
So
Yeah, why not?
Because it's
Why
back
not?
to back, right?
Good.
And now, does that change your, like, if he has a really good game against the Kings, specifically because the team that you're going to play in the first round, does that now change your opinion, or are you still leaning Pickard because of how well he's played over the past 2 weeks?
A good game against the Kings would start to sway my opinion. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't like I said, it's great if he gets a shutout against San Jose. I'll be happy for him, but I'm not going to be convinced he should be the game one starter if he shuts out the San Jose Sharks and gets lit up by the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the idea, Eric, of whoever Knobloch thinks is going to start the series against the Kings?
Yeah.
Plays that game.
Well, that's why I said it's kind of
right?
an interesting thing that we have to factor into this whole equation is that, I mean, let's say the Kings win their next 2 games and the game on Monday is meaningless between the Oilers and Kings because the Kings have already secured second place. Well, at that point, you know, you're just trying to get through that game healthy and get to the playoffs. But if that game really means something, if that game is essentially going to determine home ice, then you pretty much have to treat it like a playoff game and give that game your playoff starter.
Yeah. Lotzi, you got you're the Oracle, former Oracle.
Yeah, former. That was a long time ago. There I had some.
Yeah, you were right. You were right once, and we called you the Oracle for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the other side to that argument is, do you want to give the Kings a good look at the guy you think you're going to start in the series in this game coming up? Right? They could play some mind games and go with the other guy. Right? So I think Skinner's going to get a little bit of runway here at the end of the season to see where he's at, right? He just got a bit of a break. I mean, healing from a head injury, but he's got a little bit of a break physically and mentally. So maybe he's had a little bit of a chance to kind of breathe, reset for a minute. Maybe he comes back a better goaltender and a little more stable for the playoff run. Who knows? Or maybe his game is still in shambles. I don't know what's going to happen. So I need a little more time to watch and see how this is going to play out. But I tend to agree with Eric in saying that it's Skinner's net. He's the guy you've put your trust in over the past couple 2-3 seasons, and he's been your starter throughout. And Pickard's played very well, very admirably, but I still think Skinner's the guy. Now, I do think there's an opportunity for that to change in the next little while here. Skinner doesn't play so well, come back from injury, or things don't go well early in the series, then yeah, absolutely. They know they can go to Pickard now, I think. They played in the 5 straight. They know he can carry the load. Did it for him last year in the playoffs as well. Right? So they know he can do it, but I think they've got more belief in Skinner.
Yeah. So I'll say this. Like I say that I would start Pickard more than likely if I was the guy behind the bench. I'm not the guy behind the bench. The guy behind the bench is Knobloch, obviously, and he's shown that, you know, he doesn't always go the way that I think the sort of tides are going or the winds are going, and he goes with folks that he thinks he can trust, right? And so if you go over the course of his time in Edmonton, he's probably felt more like he can trust Skinner. I think it's more than likely that that's his kind of go-to. That's his expectation will be Skinner in net. I think if it were a different coach, like somebody who maybe went with more along the lines of who was playing well at a given period of time, like the Skinner like the other Skinner, maybe a prime example, right? Like it seems that as soon as he'd get hot, Knobloch has a feeling about him, and it didn't change, right? So I think the same thing goes in net. I do suspect we'll probably see it's Skinner's net to lose, would be my guess. Yeah, Patrick, you looked like you were deep in thought there, but I don't know. Yeah.
I was just thinking if it was Jay Woodcroft was still here, we wouldn't even be talking. It'd be Stuart Skinner.
There you go. Maybe any coach in their right mind goes with the guy that, right? Like as you said, Eric, takes them to Game 7 in the previous year. I mean, there's something to be said about that. Like Skinner has, had big games. He has, he's been the starter, right? Like you gotta respect that to some extent, for sure.
I mean, when you outplay Jake Ottinger and Sergei Bobrovsky in back-to-back playoff series, that's a guy who I can still feel confident with going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, we're about to find out. I mean, Pickard's numbers though for the year are better, right? Yeah. So we're about to find out. All right, guys. We're off the air at Edmonton Sports Talk. We're still on the air at Heavy Hockey, youtube.ca/Heavy Hockey, or on Twitter at Oilers Live. But we're going to wrap it up. It was a good show. Went by fast, right? A lot of fun tonight. Good to have you, Eric.
Yeah.
As usual.
I got to join in these chats more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Patrick and Ryan, feels like it's been a week, at least a week since I've seen you last.
I still haven't done a podcast with Patrick yet. I can't wait to get you on the 99 Forever show as well.
Geez, that sounded genuine.
It
is.
He wants the ratings.
There we go. I just warn you, people. Yeah, they don't ask what we think, what Ryan and I think. They always say, "What's the Oilers Fanatic thing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just chopped liver. We know whose show this is.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I believe you guys are my two most frequent guests, so Patrick's got to catch up a few episodes here to tie that mark.
Yeah, he'll get there, I'm sure. Patrick's been a welcome addition to the Heavy Hockey family for sure.
Definitely.
All right, guys, I'll say a couple things. We'll go around the horn, and then Eric, you will give you the last word tonight as our true guest tonight. And I'll just say thank you again to everybody for being on the show. Thank you to those that tuned in today, those in the chat. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that nonsense, and follow Heavy Hockey. Check out heavyhockey.com for some great articles. We had a recent one, actually kind of cool. We had another guest writer from the St. Louis or Let's Go Blues Radio, Jeff Ponder, who is a hell of a good guy, great hockey guy. Also, just a little tidbit. Jeff and I I've been on Let's Go Blues Radio a number of times, but Jeff and I did an episode about all of the players that have played both Blues and Oilers hockey. And there's been lots, obviously some notables, Grant Fuhr, Chris Pronger, right?
Gretzky, really?
Gretzky.
Didn't lead with that one?
Yeah, I didn't lead with Gretzky, sorry. Yeah, though, I always forget about Gretzky being in the Blues uniform, but there were lots of similarities there. Anyway, go on there, support Jeff, comment, have a read of the article, comment, do all of those things. We'd love to have more hockey news from around the around the NHL, not just Oilers content, because it's all interesting and great. And Jeff's going to help. I think he's going to help a little bit with that and do some of the other things around there. So we'll add him hopefully at some point as official member of the Heavy Hockey family. I booked today, June 21st, for the Heavy Hockey Showdown in Halifax, Nova Scotia, for the first ever showdown. This won't be the first charity game outside of Edmonton. We've done 2
Calgary.
But this is kind of a big day, so we'll do that. I don't think there's much else. I mean, the Oilers, we didn't. Maybe one thing we should say is, let me just bring up the Oilers schedule here, because between now and the next game, of course, maybe everybody can give their sort of how the Oilers are going to close out the season. They've got San Jose, Jets, Kings, and San Jose. So 2 against San Jose. I'm going to say the Oilers go 3-1, close out the season. So love to hear that and anything else you have to say. I'm going to pass the baton over to Patrick, and then we'll go to Ryan and Eric. You'll finish us off for the night.
Right.
Thanks to everybody again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you, Michael. I see the Oilers going 3-1 too. I think they win both San Jose games. And I think we beat LA too, but we might fall to Winnipeg. We just always seem to have trouble with the Winnipeg Jets. So I don't have would love to see him go perfect, but yeah, I'm going to go 3-1. Just as always, thank you to everyone for joining us in the chat tonight. It was a great discussion. Great doing my first show with you, Eric. Looking forward to do the 99 Forever podcast there with you. And Michael, Ryan, as always, it's fun having some laughs with you guys and giving lots of crap for being a realist. And can't wait to do it again next week.
Yeah, you bet. Mr. Lotsberg.
Yeah, I have a reputation to live up to now, so I'm gonna go 2-2. I think the Sharks are gonna get us once.
Not 0-4. Come on.
Not 0-4. Not that real. No, I'll say the Sharks get us once, and we'll lose the Jets game, and we'll beat the Kings because we're gonna be a little healthier for the Kings game. First down the stretch here, there's so many injuries, so many ups and downs. We got Cam Dineen and Olivier Rodrigue switching places. It's chaos right now, so sit back and enjoy it, and take a little minute to breathe before the action gets serious in the playoffs a couple weeks from now. I think I read somewhere we'd probably start April 20th to Sunday.
Yeah.
So
because the Lakers will probably have it Saturday night on the 19th. So if the Kings are at home,
which makes odds are they probably will be. But yeah, with that, I'll pass it over to Eric.
All right, Eric, you know the drill.
Yeah.
Just the one thing is, don't forget to say goodnight when you're done. Otherwise, we sit here awkwardly waiting, and nobody wants that. All right, go for it.
I'm going to put a caveat on this first, that for the record, for the Oilers to achieve the record, I think it also depends on how the Kings do with their schedule. So if the Kings are able to drop a game or two and makes the game on Monday actually mean something, then that will determine how I think the last game of the season will play out for the Oilers. I think they'll beat the Sharks fairly convincingly tomorrow night, probably lose a tight one to Winnipeg on Sunday. And then on Monday, if the Oilers are still playing for home ice advantage, I think they beat the Kings that night. And then it would depend on what happens for the final game in San Jose, because if the Oilers can't improve their position and McDavid has reached the 100-point milestone as well, I don't think he will be traveling for that game. I doubt that Leon would be traveling for that game either. So that game, if the Oilers aren't in a position to improve, then it might be a loss. But I'm going to look at it from the positive perspective, as I typically always do, and say that the Oilers will win those 2 out of the 3 games leading up to that final game, and the Kings will drop a couple, which will make that last game mean something in Northern California, which the Oilers will win 3-1 and still have a chance to lock up home ice advantage in the first round. So anyway, thanks again for having me on the show tonight. Michael, as always, it's a pleasure. Ryan, Patrick, got to get to, like we said, do an episode together at some point. So have a good night.
Oilers Live.